Welcome back. Futures this morning indicating a mixed opening. Take a look at where we stand. The Dow Jones Industrial Average now at the lows of the morning, down 75 right now in the Dow. The Nasdaq is up 8 1/4, further into record territory. Yesterday, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 hit record highs. The Nasdaq's up 6 points. The S&P is down 6 points. But take a look at yesterday's performance. The Dow finishing just shy of its all-time high, up 66 on the session. The Nasdaq and the S&P at all-time highs. All three indices up 5.4% or more so far this month, keeping that May rally intact. Joining me right now is former Soros Fund Management Chief Investment Officer and Key Square Capital Management CEO and founder, Scott Bessent, back with me this morning. Scott, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. What do you think is behind this market move here, year to date, on top of last year, as we watch an economy that seems bifurcated at best? You've made the point the high earners are doing well, not so much for the low earners.
Yeah, and Maria, that's exactly it. It's a bifurcated economy. And several important factors here is, one, we have this massive government spending, 6-7% of GDP. So that's really what's powering the economy on one side. And then on the other side, in an election year, when there's an incumbent, the incumbent's political economic apparatus, keeps providing a lot of liquidity, a lot of fiscal stimulus, which the market likes. And then we also have President Trump ahead in the polls, and the market focusing on November 5th and Donald Trump's market-friendly policies of Trump tax cuts being extended or perhaps made permanent, lower regulation, energy independence, and things being settled down abroad. So, we're kind of in a nirvana scenario right now, but it does speak to the two-tier economy. In Joe Biden's America, you either have assets, and the top 20% has never done better, or you have debt, and you are getting crushed by this inflation.
Yeah, for sure. And that's been the case pretty much across the board. The inflation story, inflation's up 20% on Joe Biden's watch. This all has implications for the dollar and the U.S. dollar reserves held by other central banks. Kevin Hassett made a comment the other day on the show when he joined me. He said, if we see Donald Trump in handcuffs and go to jail because he, messed with this gag order, who would buy a treasury in America? You'll see interest rates spike because people are going to be calling this place a banana republic. Why would you ever buy a treasury issued by a banana republic? That's how Kevin Hassett sees things right now. And I want to get your take on that because I know that the decline in U.S. dollar reserves held by other central banks is concerning to you.
It is. And look, we've had 200 years to build up credibility, and the U.S. is able to exercise what's called an exorbitant privilege in terms of our borrowings. We have been able to, fund these deficits, and we have dual deficits. We have the current account trade deficit, and we have a gigantic budget deficit. We are able to do that because of our credibility, but we are starting to see foreign central banks moving out of the dollar. Chinese have sold a massive amount of treasury bills over the past year and 3 years, and they're upping their gold holdings. So, this is a very unstable equilibrium because, we're running these massive peacetime deficits. We have never run deficits like this before, either in peacetime or during when we didn't have a recession. So we depend on foreigners to fund those deficits, and if they stop, then interest rates go higher, which is what we've seen here.
Yeah.
And the spectacle of a former president being the hold away would not help anyone's confidence. And I think that the American people abroad don't believe that this is anything but a show trial.
Right. This is just extraordinary any way you look at it. Scott, what did you make of Biden's tariffs on Chinese imports? The other day, Janet Yellen was asked about it, and she said something like, well, Trump's tariffs on China were a tax on consumers, but Biden's tariffs on Chinese imports, well, no, that's not a tax on consumers. That's targeted. That's what she said.
Yeah, well, look, I think Secretary Yellen has taken a lot of controversial positions lately that are not helpful for her job of representing the U.S. Treasury. And these tariffs, it's Me Too and it's electioneering. Michigan is one of the most important swing states. There are a lot of EV tariffs. Obviously, the Chinese are subsidizing and dumping globally with electric vehicles. So it was just a bit of Me Too and electioneering, just like this incredible $7.7 billion probably illegal student loan forgiveness that we saw today.
Right.
So I think the Biden administration's macro policies have been a disaster for the American people. We can see that. It shows in the polls. It shows in the handling of the economy. And then they try this series of kind of central planning micro interventions, whether it's EV tariffs. We're going to cut back on the student loans. We're going to do this illegal forgiveness of student loans. We're going to dump the gasoline reserve.
Yeah.
Secretary Yellen has taken the strategic petroleum reserve down to a 40-year low.
Right.
And I expect her to do a massive dump between now and November 5th. This is all central planning, and at the end of the day, it doesn't work.
It's all central planning, and it's all about the election. That's it. And by the way, these tariffs on EVs, Greg Brown, the chairman and CEO of Motorola Solutions, I saw him the other day. He made a really good point to me. He said to me, 100% tariff increases on electric vehicles. Sure, it sounds impressive, right? Well, until you recognize only 7% of the people in the United States are driving electric vehicles. 2% of the imported electric vehicles are coming from China. 2%. Okay, so yeah, is it significant? I guess. Is it consequential? No. 2%. It's not. It's one of those things that's a headline ahead of an election, but doesn't really hurt China all that much at all. Scott, let me get your take. Bloomberg published this piece last week. It says ex-Soros star Scott Bessent jockeys with John Paulson to run Trump's Treasury. Obviously, you're on the short list to become Treasury Secretary should President Trump choose you. If that were to happen, Scott, tell us the most important policy measures to you. What policy measures do you believe are most important in a new administration?
Yes. So, Maria, before I answer that, I'd like to make 3 points. I think there's no jockeying going on. What I'm trying to do is I think 2024 is our last chance to grow our way out of these debt and deficit problems. So, one, I am out just sounding the alarm that we need all hands on deck for 2024.
Okay.
Two, there are no jobs in a Trump administration without Donald Trump winning.
Right.
So, I'm out trying to help President Trump winning. I along with a fellow named Raynard Jackson, who's a Jack Kemp acolyte, we're hosting 150, 200 black business people and entrepreneurs today in D.C. who are all very curious about the Republican Party. And then 3, I have my business, and this is an exciting, macro as an exciting macro environment as I've seen. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not jockeying.
Yeah, I understand.
But
I understand.
But what I do want to emphasize is we need to go back to the private sector growth strategy that President Trump had in Trump 1.0.
Yeah.
Is we just got to do that in Trump 2.0.
Well, I like that you're saying growth. That's exactly what we need is growth. We're at 1.6% growth in the first quarter, according to the last GDP. And if you actually have a focus on growth, well, then the policies will reflect that. And that's called lower taxes. That's called, a lot of things go into that. In terms of that policy. But real quick before you go, Scott, you just said that you're hosting these black entrepreneurs. Are you seeing a change from the black community for President Trump?
Yeah, look, I think that we are seeing the we're seeing a lot of people who are curious. We are seeing the traditional Democratic stronghold of black voters who, they believe that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have failed them, and I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
So.
That sounds good. All right, we will leave it there. It's great to see you, Scott. Thanks very much. Please come back soon.